Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody. So, today we're doing our April entertainment wrap up. We're going to be talking about books, TV shows, and movies. So first of all, we have some reading updates to talk about. First of all, tonight we're starting our series where we cook recipes from books, and we're starting with the recipe from this book for chicken with adobo. This was one of my rereads in February, and I never got the chance to review it because I forgot to. So I will be reviewing this and also reviewing the recipe. So the first book I'm going to review today is Bewilderment by Richard Powers. I borrowed this from my mother-in-law, Sally. It is a story about a man who has a son who keeps acting out in school, and it's his story about how he deals with that because they're both dealing with grief from losing his husband and the child's mother. The little boy Robbie, he's in third grade, and this is a book that was in my list of books with disabled protagonists because it's hard to distinguish, but it is seen by his behaviors in the story that he either has ADHD or autism. And I was a little bit confused about what disability he actually ended up getting diagnosed with because I don't think that was ever clarified. But the thing I like the best about this book is the fact that um, there's a good nature setting in it with them having a shared hobby of astronomy and looking at the stars.
Many kids who have autism do have that sensible feeling of occasionally acting out in situations, but they do have talents for topics. And like Janine just said, the kid had a passion for astronomy.
The second book I wanted to review in this video is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I borrowed this from Chandler when we went up to visit her in Ashland this weekend. So I've been reading a lot of classics recently, among the many other genres I've been reading. And I read another book by Jane Austen in February called Jane Eyre, which I didn't really like too much. I felt that the romance in that book really developed very slowly. I liked Jane's character, but I just thought the rest of the plot developed really slowly. The pacing of this book is a lot faster. It's moving quicker to the relationship building up between Darcy and Elizabeth, and I am really liking them as a couple so far. So these lyrics and lines did a whole video of books and movies with spring vibes, and they mentioned the Pride and Prejudice movie in that video that has Keira Knightley and Hugh Grant in it. So we will be watching that next month.
And the third book we want to show you is the book called Red Rising, which, unlike some of the others Janine has been reading, I actually got into that myself. I read the first part already.
So, yeah, Matt and I are reading this together. He's on chapter 6, I'm on chapter 9. And I'm trying not to get too far ahead of him, so I'm going to let him read a little more before I read more. This book is a science fiction book that is set on Mars, and it's basically, as Haley Pham describes it, Hunger Games in outer space. Haley Pham recommended this book in her video where her husband Ryan picked her TBR, and she also recommended it in a shorter form video that she posted on her channel a couple of weeks ago where she recommended books for guys to read. So we would like to thank Haley for this book recommendation. We are really enjoying it so far.
And in case you don't know what Mars really is, it's just a red atmosphere, and there's less gravity on there compared to Earth. But the difference in daylight is almost the same as down here on Earth. And the year is a little more than twice as long as here on Earth.
So, next we're going to talk about TV shows, and I wanted to briefly mention the Apple TV Plus series that's based on the book Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. I read Lessons in Chemistry last fall after my aunt recommended it to me on Memorial Day weekend, and I watched the Apple TV Plus series at the end of March and beginning of April. It is great. I highly recommend it. Brie Larson plays the lead character, Elizabeth Zott, and her casting was excellent. For those of you who are not familiar with Brie Larson, she's from the Marvel superhero movies, and she is in the most recent installment of that called The Marvels. And the movie that comes before it, which I forget the title of because The Marvels is a sequel. So for the next TV show we're going to be talking about a few episodes of Cougar Town today. The first one is called Rhino Skin, and in season 1, episode 10. In this episode, Lisa Kudrow,
plays a dermatologist.
she plays a dermatologist who's really mean. She's Jules, and she tries to like get in the middle of Jules's relationship with Bobby, and I couldn't help comparing her character to Phoebe's character on Friends, and I prefer Phoebe's character because, I mean, so with Phoebe it's a little bit difficult because in the earlier seasons she's nice, but in the later seasons she causes a lot of drama, specifically between Monica and Chandler after they get married to each other. So what did we give that episode for a ranking?
First of all, what did you give it?
I don't remember. Do you remember what you gave it?
I think I gave it a B.
I think I probably gave it a C just because I didn't really like Lisa Kudrow's character. So, as far as Friends guest starring roles, 2 other Friends actors guest starred on Cougar Town. Matt's favorite performance was by Jennifer Aniston in season 2, episode 1.
And Janine's was Matthew Perry in the episode, season 5, episode 2, Like a Diamond.
What did you like the best about Jennifer Aniston's performance?
Jennifer was not like what Lisa played for the dermatologist. She was just more like someone as a nice visitor, and I was comparing her with her character Rachel. What about you?
First of all, didn't Jennifer Aniston play the therapist in that episode of Cougar Town that we saw?
The therapist, right?
I thought she was, yeah, so she was playing Jules' therapist, and I didn't like her behavior in the scene where they, like, got in the car accident, because she just seemed to be acting really unprofessional and not the way a therapist would act or whatever. So Jennifer Aniston's acting is good in whatever she does, but I just didn't like her character in that episode. Now, yes, as you were just saying, my favorite guest star appearance was Matthew Perry in the season 5, episode 2, Like a Diamond. This was the episode that we reviewed on Valentine's Day, so if you want the review for that episode, go watch that video because we gave our rating of it in that video. And what I like the best about that episode is the flash mob scene, where basically, so in this episode, for those, to catch you guys up if you missed our Valentine's Day episode, Matthew Perry plays a single rich guy named Sam who lives in northern Florida, and he gets in a car accident with Jules, Courtney Cox's character, and basically they have a fake dating situation going on where they go on one date, and Sam falls madly in love with Jules and proposes her and asks her to marry him. And the scene with that, they like do a flash mob to the song Hooked on a Feeling, and then at the very end there's like a scene where Sam comes in with the marching band, and he's wearing the big marching band uniform and the tall hat, and that makes me think of either The Music Man or 10 Things I Hate About You, with the scene when Heath Ledger's character is asking Julia Stiles' character to go to the prom. And I kind of felt bad in that episode for Matthew Perry's character because basically Jules rejects him in front of his whole family because he tells his family that he's getting married, and she's like, oh, sorry, I'm engaged. So I felt bad for him, but it's really cute because in the end credit scene there's a blooper where Matthew Perry calls Courtney Cox Monica instead of Jules, and I almost cried because, as I have said in other videos, I am a huge Monica and Chandler fan, so I thought that was a really cute wink to all the Friends fans at the end of a Cougar Town episode.
Okay, next we want to discuss another season 1 episode, episode 21. That's called "Letting You Go."
So we just watched this episode a couple of nights ago, and basically by the end of season 1, Jules' son Travis is getting ready to leave for college. So basically what we liked about this episode was how, like, it was relatable to how our parents must have felt when we were getting ready to go to college back in the early to mid 2000s, because he went to college in 2002 and I went to college in 2004. So
How many of you have children who grow up and they move on to college for a new start of their life? I know that's hard on the parents.
and like I definitely related to Travis the most in this episode, because I remember being that young and excited to leave to go to college and start a new chapter of my life. Though I was homesick for the first few weeks of college, and once I got adjusted, I was fine.
Yeah, I didn't get so homesick because when I started with the leadership program before my actual freshman year, I could easily make new friends and find new exciting activities to do.
What did you give Letting You Go for a rating?
I think I gave that one a B minus.
Yeah, I did too. The last Cougar Town episode we wanted to discuss today is season 2, episode 13, Stop Throwing My Heart Around. So there's a couple of different plot lines in this episode. One is between Jules and Grayson, because Jules is like kind of unsure if she wants to have another kid after Travis goes to college because she's getting older, but Grayson is recently divorced from his ex-wife Sarah, who was played by Sheryl Crow in earlier season 1 episodes. And so there's a little bit of relationship tension between that, will they or won't they, between Jules and Grayson. And then in this episode, Travis loses his virginity to his girlfriend Kylie, and like I guess Kylie gets really cold feet after they have sex, and she's unsure if she wants to continue with the relationship. So it's definitely will they or won't they with Travis and Kylie too. This is the least relatable episode for us personally, because we have never.
We've just never together felt that sexual arousement.
Right. Exactly.
But we have some final thoughts about the first couple of seasons since we've seen pretty much all the episodes.
So at this point we are done with season 2 of Cougar Town, and we are wrapping up season 1 in a couple of weeks once we watch Joey and the Odd Couple, which we just borrowed from the library. So yeah, as we mentioned in previous videos, we're really enjoying Cougar Town a lot. Our favorite characters are Jules, Grayson, Travis, Lori, and actually the neighbor Tom is a pretty funny character. The guy who everybody else thinks is really creepy, who wants to like really join the group, but people are afraid to let him in. The neighbor that's always peeking in the window.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but we have one episode of the Golden Girls called The Competition that...
And as far as what we're looking forward to in future seasons of Cougar Town, we're looking forward to the development of Travis's character and the relationship development between Grayson and Jules. So next we're going to talk about the Golden Girls episode, The Competition.
Now, there are a couple of points about this episode which I like the most. First of all, it involves America's best pastime, especially for me, bowling. But there are a lot of elements that get to that bowling tournament in this episode. First of all, it's the ever-changing partnership with the doubles teams as we go, changing so much to find it a little bit confusing. And also, Blanche, in this case, at first showed us her red bowling ball, where she wanted to use for it, but it seemed like it stressed her out during the competition.
So I don't think it was so much what was stressing her out was the bowling ball. I think it was the competitiveness between her and Dorothy and Rose and Sophia.
But Sophia really develops a nice love interest because he came from Italy, where near the end of the episode it was revealed where he first spotted her playing bocce, which was a good element to find out why she was a good bowler.
So the relationship development between Sophia and her love interest is really cute. That was actually my favorite part of the episode. Um Basically she reconnects with her old flame from Sicily, from her village in Sicily when she was growing up, and I just thought that their development was really sweet, and I wish there had been a little side thing to the whole episode that developed their relationship a little bit more, because that would have been cool.
I'm not going to spoil it to see who actually won the competition. If you ever find out on a DVD yourself, you can find out.
So the next two TV episodes we're going to talk about are from The Office. The first one is called Girls versus Boys, and this is the one where like they're doing professional development, and Jan has all the girls in the conference room, and Michael has all the guys in the warehouse, and basically like the women are taking time getting to know each other, and like Jan is asking people what they really see themselves doing in 5 years and all the like, where do you see yourself at the company kind of thing.
But for some reason, they're keeping the boys out of the room.
And Michael and all the guys are in a warehouse, and they're talking about unionizing and forming a union, and Jan ends up telling them that they're not allowed to do that or else they could lose their jobs. So in this episode, I related to Pam the most, who is played by Jenna Fisher. She's actually one of my favorite characters in The Office because she's A, very relatable, and B, very down to earth. And the reason why I relate to her in this episode is because of the fact that she's an artist, and I have been taking art classes since last year when I first joined Double House Arts on Spring Street. And then the subplot about the men of Dunder Mifflin forming a union was very interesting because it taught us a lot about how unions are formed, and what causes people to want to form them, and that was something we never really knew about before watching the episode. The next The Office episode we wanted to talk about is Take Your Daughter to Work Day. In this episode, a lot of the adults who work at Dunder Mifflin take their kids to work take their daughter, son to work day. So Meredith has her stepson with her. Toby has his 5-year-old niece with him.
Mm-hmm.
And Stanley has his teenage daughter with him who is actually trying to hit on Ryan. And Ryan gets in trouble when obviously the teenage girl is the one who's hitting on him. And it's not the other way around, but he gets the impression that Ryan is trying to hit on his teenage daughter. So again, I relate to Pam in this episode because I have a similar relationship with the kids at the Boys and Girls Club than she does with Meredith's stepson. What kind of experiences have you ever had or memories with Take Your Child to Work Day?
Well, in both cases, my parents were college professors, so for my experiences, it could just be either one of them just taking me to their office of administration, where I'd be hanging out doing maybe stuff like computers or maybe playing with their toys. But if it was my mom, she would normally take me in case I would have my dentist appointment at the Boston University Dental Center, very walkable from CGS, where she was a scientist. But if it was my dad, then he'd take me to work at Wellesley College in his office. And occasionally, since we were very close to Route 9 in Natick and the Candlepin Bowling Center, then sometimes I go bowling.
So, with me for take your daughter's son child to work day, like with me, my mother always worked from home, so every day when I was a kid, I would like work in her office next to her on a computer, like writing stuff or whatever. But now that I'm an adult, I go with her on school visits to promote our book together that we co-wrote. We want to go to school to fight for disability rights, and I don't really remember if my dad ever took me to work with him for Take Your Daughter to Work Day to either Fidelity or Buddy's Rental or Century 21. So that's all for this. Finally, we're going to talk about some movies that we have watched this month. The first movie is The Illusionist, which was part of our Oscar-nominated movie series. We had originally planned to watch the Oscar-nominated movies from this year, but we couldn't find a lot of them for free on streaming services. So, we just decided to go into backlog of Oscar nominees for previous years, and then sometime in May or June we're planning to watch Oppenheimer, so that will be reviewed later. The first movie that we wanted to talk about is The Illusionist, which we just watched last week. This one was nominated for the cinematography Oscar, for all of the illusions that were made with the magic tricks, which I thought was really cool. And Edward Norton plays the magician, and Jessica Biel, who is Justin Timberlake's wife, plays his love interest Sophie, and I really loved their on-screen chemistry. I thought their relationship was really very sweet. So what did you like the best about The Illusionist?
That movie, The Illusionist, first of all, we borrowed this from my mom at her home in Kennebunk. But what I liked about it was all the illusion acts, and this was really sort of based on a true story in Europe when it was used to be called Hungary, Austria. So the dynamics in the 19th century or early 20th century really felt very a good time to look back.
The next movie that we wanted to talk about is The Mitchells versus the Machines. This won the Oscar in 2022, or it was nominated for Best Animated Feature. And it's basically about this girl who's going to college to study computer science, but she ends up getting delayed in going to college because her family goes on a road trip to take her there.
And this is a very uncharacteristic family.
And robots end up like attacking the planet, so they have to like save the Earth from all the robots who are trying to kill them, which is really interesting. And we really liked this movie. We thought the plot was really engaging, and it was kind of like a thriller, and it kept us on the edge of our seats the whole time. We gave this movie a B, and we agree with Wicked Binge's rating of the characters from good to evil.
But what I liked best about the movie was how the animation was done and the battle with the robots, especially the one that had the phone and the artificial intelligence. That would have been an early entry and thinking about how they're going to take over our human population in the future.
Right. The final movie we're going to talk about is The Page Master. This is a combination live action and animated movie that came out in 1994, starring Macaulay Culkin as Richie, who is the child character. This was the movie that he was in after Home Alone, and it stars Christopher Lloyd from Back to the Future as the guy who works in the library.
And the animated feature has talented voices like Frank Welker, Leonard Nimoy, and Patrick Stewart.
And Whoopi Goldberg.
And Whoopi Goldberg.
So this movie is about a kid who gets trapped in the library during a rainstorm, and then he turns into an animated character, and he makes friends with all of the animated book characters, and they go on a quest to like escape from the library and try to get out. So it's really cute, and I love the animation, and I love the voice acting, and this was the only non-Oscar nominated movie that we have watched this month. Everything else we have watched has been Oscar nominated.
And the reason why we watched The Page Master was because this past weekend we were at our friend Chandler's in New Hampshire for her birthday party.
And we had a really great time.
But when it came down to when the party was ending and we were winding down, we were in her basement where we were looking for things to watch, and that was one of the few things that we could watch for free on her streaming.
Yeah, because most of the other movies we wanted to watch, you had to pay for. So, our next entertainment review will be at the end of May, and we will be reviewing more episodes of Cougar Town, more episodes of The Office. We will be giving first impressions of Joey in The Odd Couple with Matthew Perry, and we will also be reviewing The Prom, Appaloosa, Pride and Prejudice, and Ever After. So that video will be out around Memorial Day weekend.
And also in our Me Tackling Issues mini-series for August, we're going to be doing more in a series of grief counseling in our review, along with a gay witch hunt.
Right. And for the other 2 episodes we're going to be reviewing in that series of the mini-series for serious issues in the media is Family Ties Uncle Ned, which talks about substance use disorder, and we are going to be comparing and contrasting how this disease is handled in this episode and in previous episodes that we have seen in The Golden Girls and Friends. And we are also going to watch the episode of Growing Pains that deals with drunk driving, where Matthew Perry guest stars as Michael J. Fox's sister's boyfriend who gets in the car accident. So that is what will be in our future videos, and we hope you have a great week.
Yeah, and have a good, safe May Day, and you can celebrate Mexican by Cinco de Mayo on Sunday. See you in the next video.